Shalom, shalom, my beautiful people, and welcome to my channel, Real Series Productions, and I go by the name of Miss EYG. If you're new to my channel, welcome, and make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. Alright, and in today's video, we will be discussing, first and foremost, welcome to Biblical Stories, a Deeper Look series. And in today's video, we will be speaking about the story of Rebekah and Isaac. And we're going to speak a little bit about Esau, but not too much. And Jacob, just briefly, because I want to show you some things and point out some things. So if you guys watched my first video in this series, we spoke about the story of Abraham and Sarah. We spoke a little bit about Isaac. Spoke about Hagar and Ishmael. So as I said before, this will be a deeper look into these stories to show some knowledge that was given to me by the Most High. All praises to the Most High, Yah, for showing me some of these stories in a deeper look. I've always said I wanted to tell these stories in a different way or shed different light. So a lot of what I'm going to show you, maybe you've heard of it, maybe you haven't heard of it, but we're going to take a deeper look. So let's get right into it, okay? So we're going to start in Genesis 24, and the title of the chapter is the search for a wife for Isaac, okay? So as we know, I didn't really get to talk about it briefly, but I will make another video on what happened with Sarah after the supposed sacrifice of Isaac. She later died. And like I said, I'll make another video upon my findings that look deeper into that, because when you read the King James Version, it doesn't tell you much about her passing away. But I'll make another video to show you what I actually found in my research about that. But yes, Sarah passed away. And then Abraham, if you get to 25, Genesis 25, you'll see that he remarried a woman named Keturah. But before we get to that, Genesis 24 we're going to be reading about, when Sarah died, Isaac needed comfort. Okay, Isaac needed comfort because of his mother's passing. And Abraham sent his servant to go find a wife for Isaac because he didn't want him to marry the wrong woman, which was at the time the Canaanites. He said, I do not want you to take a wife for my son of the Canaanites. So we're going to go to Genesis 24. And then we're going to start at verse 9 through 16. Okay. And the servant put his hands under the thigh of Abraham, his master, and swore to him concerning the matter. And the servant took 10 camels. This is Abraham sending him back to his country of where they came from, which more than likely is the year Chaldees, because that's where they're from. He sent his servant to look for a wife for Isaac, not in the land that they were at, but the land that they came from, which had all their family and their kindreds, right? And he sent the servant, and the servant took 10 camels and camels of his master, and departed, for all goods of his master were in his hands, and arose and went to Mesopotamia unto the city of Nahor, right? And he made his camels to kneel down within the city by a well of water at the time of the evening, and even the time that woman go out to draw water. So it was women going out to fetch water. Okay, and he said, "Oh, Father of Israel, Yahuwah of my master Abraham, I pray thee, and send me good speed this day, and show kindness unto my master Abraham. Behold, I stand by the well of water, and the daughters of men of the city came out to draw water. And let it come to pass that the damsel to whom I shall say, let down thy pitcher, I pray thee, that I may drink. And she shall say, drink, and I will give my camels drink also. Let the same be that thou hast appointed for thy servant Isaac. So he's saying, okay, the Most High, I need to find this wife for Isaac, like Abraham has instructed me to do. I'm by this well, so can you please appoint the certain young lady that I'm supposed to take back for Isaac to wife, appoint her to me, bring her to me, so I can know who she is when I tell her I need to I'm fetching for water, she'll give me water to drink, and I can also give my camels water to drink also. So he's having a conversation with the Most High, asking the Most High to please bring forth this wife that he's supposed to bring back so Isaac can marry her, right? Which is Rebekah. And thereby shall I know thou hast shown kindness unto my master. And it came to pass, before he had done speaking, that, behold, Rebekah came out, who was born of Bethuel, son of Milcah, the wife of Nahor, Abraham's brother. So, this is the kindred. This is Milcah's and Nahor's, which is Abraham's brother. This is of their seed, okay? With the pitcher upon her shoulder. And the damsel was very fair to look upon, a virgin, neither had any man known her. And she went down to the well, and filled her pitcher, and came up. And the servant ran to meet her, and let me, I pray thee, drink a little water of pitcher. So, what he asked of the Most High did, right? The Most High made Rebekah come to him, so he can know that this would be the daughter. Well, at this moment, he doesn't know that this is Rebekah, but this is Rebekah, that he prayed this prayer and asked the Most High to do this thing, and he doesn't know it just yet, but the Most High actually did it for him. Okay, so if you read on, he asked her, who are you? She said, my name is Rebekah, I'm such and such such. And to the servant, she told the servant who she is. And the servant said, oh, okay, well, he first praised the Most High and thanked him for answering his prayer so efficiently as he does. And he said, okay, well, it is my duty that I came to fetch you to be a wife unto Isaac. And when he told her these things, if you go to verse 29, she went back and told her brother, her mother, and her parents, hey, this guy had came, this is the servant of Abraham, who had came back to fetch me to be a wife for his son, for Abraham's son, Isaac. And her family was really on board with it. You know, they obviously knew the laws of the Most High, and they knew that this is something that had to be done, right? That needed to be done. And they couldn't stand in the way of it, and they weren't going to. So they agreed to have her go back because, like I said, they knew the laws of the Most High, and they had a relationship with the Most High to know, okay, well, we can't stand in the way. We can't say no to this, so we have to agree upon it. So we're going to go to Genesis. We're still in 24. Let's go down to verse 49. Actually, we're going to start at 48. So this is the servant when he went back to the house of Rebekah, and he's speaking with her parents and with her brother Laban about why he's here, and the Most High bringing him here on the purpose of taking Rebekah back with him. And yeah, when he saw her, he knew she was blessed. He knew that the Most High sent her to him as he requested. He put bracelets on her hands and earrings upon her, basically kind of like anointing her in a way, but just saying, yeah, you know, she's the chosen woman that the Most High had sent. She's a righteous woman. So let's go to 47. And I asked her, and he's speaking with her parents. He said he asked her, whose daughter art thou? And she said, the daughter of Bethuel, Nahor's son, from whom Milcah bore unto him. And I put earrings upon her face and bracelets upon her hands. And I bowed down my head and worshipped the Almighty Yahuwah, and blessed the Almighty Yahuwah of my master Abraham, which had led me in the right way to take my master's brother's daughter unto his son. And now, if ye will deal kindly and truly with my master, tell me, and if not, tell me, that I may turn to the right hand or to the left. So he's saying, if you guys agree with this, is it okay? Basically asking for permission. Are you going to agree with it? Let me know. If you're not going to agree with it, let me know. But this is why I'm here. And verse 50. Then Laban, Bethel answered to her brother and her father. I believe, answered and said, the thing proceeded from the Almighty Yahuwah. We could not speak unto thee bad or good. So they're saying, we know this is of the Most High Yahuwah. We know this is of the Most High. So we can't speak bad upon it. We can't speak good upon it. We have to apply, and we have to do what he says. They're incomplete. They know the Most High to know enough that they have to abide by this, that this is his will, so they can't speak neither good or evil on it. They have to do what he says. 51. Behold, Rebekah is before thee. Take her and go, and let her be thy master's son's wife, as the Yahuwah has spoken. And it came to pass that when Abraham's servant heard their words, he worshipped the Almighty Yahuwah, bowing himself to the earth. He's bowing himself to the ground, worshiping the Most High, because this, is going according to his plan. And the servant brought forth jewels of silver and jewels of gold and raiment, and gave them to Rebekah. He gave also to her brother and her mother precious things. So again, just like the story of Abraham and Sarah, but it was concerning the king. The king was trying to make her his wife, so he gave off a trade. If you watch my last video, when I spoke about there was a trade, for her to be his wife. The same thing is happening here. He's taken Rebekah from the house of her mother and father, so it's only natural that there's a trade that happens. Said, okay, I'm going to take her back to be a wife, but I'm not going to leave you guys empty-handed. And he gave precious things. It doesn't say specifically what the trade was, but he said precious things. So we know that it was probably animals, gold, jewelry, it was whatever the trade was. This is how it was back in the day. If you're taking someone to be a wife from either her household or, just her household, or the way of saying it's okay is to have a fair trade. This is how it went. So in order for her to be taken back, they said, we're not going to fight you on it, but all praises to the Most High, he allowed the trade to happen. So kind of be fair for both parties. But even though this happened, Rebekah still had a option. Not to say that she's like, no, I'm not going to do it, or yes, I'm not going to do it. You can tell how obedient that she really was. We're going to jump down to verse 57. We're still in chapter 24, 57. And they said, we will call the damsel and inquire at her mouth. Meaning, ask her, are you okay with this being done? What is your take on it? So they're not stripping her from her will to want to do this. Even though it's the will of the Most High, she's not being completely stripped of her will of if she was okay with this or not. And this is what she said. And they called Rebekah and said unto her, Wilt thou go with this man? And she said, I will go. So she obviously knew the will of the Most High. She had a relationship with the Most High that she knew as well not to go against what the Most High has presented. She said, I will go. She didn't force. She didn't say, I don't want to go. She didn't say, I'm being forced. She didn't say anything like that. She just simply said, I will go. So that means she had a relationship with the Most High to know him well enough to know that she is to follow in all his ordinance of his will. If it's in his will, then it shall be done. And she knew that. So she said, I will just go, And they sent away Rebekah, their sister, and her nurse, and Abraham's servant, and his men. And they blessed Rebekah and said unto her, Thou art our sister. Be thou the mother of thousands of millions. Okay? And let thy seed possess the gate of those that which hate them. Okay? So they're telling her to be blessed. You're going to have many seeds. Obviously they knew the will of the Most High, that they knew that his covenant was going to be passed down from Abraham to Isaac, and later on through Jacob and through Jacob's descendants. So they knew this. So they're telling her, you're going to be a mother of thousands of millions, because they know that from her, these seeds are going to progress. That's why the Most High allowed this to happen. That's why this was the will of the Most High to come get her specifically, not just any woman, but Rebekah specifically, because she's the kinsman of Isaac and Abraham. So this had to be done. They knew this. They understood it. And they told her, be a mother of millions, and, let your seeds be blessed and things like that. And let your seeds possess the gate of those that which hate them. Meaning they're going to be, forever blessed in the kingdom of the Most High. And Rebekah arose and her damsels, and they rode upon the camels and followed the man. And the servant took Rebekah and went his way. Okay, so yeah, Rebekah still had an option. She still chose to go. But I want to show you one little thing before I go on to the next topic. So we're gonna jump down to 67, where he actually brought. Okay, so when he brought her to Isaac, she got off her horse or camel or whatever, and she said, who is this one man that's coming to us? And he told her, that's your husband, that your husband to be there. And she put on a veil, basically covering herself out of respect, and presenting herself in a more modest apparel, like we spoke about, and presented herself to meet her husband. And in 67, verse 67, it said, Isaac brought her into his mother Sarah's tent and took Rebekah, and she became his wife, and he loved her, and Isaac was comforted after his mother's death. So he took her, and in his mother's tent, or household or whatever, took her in as wife. Remember, sex is marriage. So he took her and he loved her, and, she became his wife after his mother's death. But I want to point out something on why that specific verse is set up that way. Why did they feel the need to mention that Isaac was comforted after his mother's passing? Why was he comforted after his mother's death? Okay, so if you go back to, I spoke about this on one of my previous videos. If you go back to Genesis 2:18 and 2:24, right? When the Most High said it was not good for man to be alone, and the duty of a man and wife when they become one is to leave their mother's house and join together. The reason I believe that they wanted to mention, Isaac was comforted after his mother's death, goes back into what a marriage is. The responsibilities of a husband and wife when they come from their mother's and father's household, the responsibilities of their parents, just like it says in Genesis 2:18 and 2:24, when they leave their mother's and father's household and they conjoin together, the responsibilities of their mother and father are no longer their mother and father's, but they are to each other. So in this sense, Sarah dies, so the love and the comfort and the responsibility as a woman's role in her son's life, he no longer had, because his mother passed away. So he immediately had to get a wife, right? He immediately had to get a wife to take on the roles of nurturing and comfort, and the responsibility of needing a woman to take care of you, or a woman's help, or a woman's love and nurturing. And because like I said, the roles of a wife, whether you like it or not, the roles of a wife are one and the same with the mom, except for the whole intercourse and production thing. That's the only difference. But as everything else, as I learned as well, being a wife, your roles are pretty much the same. You have to be there for your husband in ways that his mother did used to be there for. That's why the Most High said you are to leave your mother and father's household and cleave to your wife, because she's now, in a sense, she's not your mom, but she has the same roles of your mom, if that makes sense. She has pretty much the same roles as your mom, but she has a bigger duty. You know what I mean? If you guys can understand that. So that was my point of saying that's the reason why I believe that they mentioned that he had to be comforted after the death of his mother, because he needed someone to take on those motherly roles. And not just that, this is the only way that the Most High can fulfill his will, fulfill his promise, and doing what he promised Abraham, which is multiplying his seed and keeping his covenant with Abraham, and keeping it through Isaac, and keeping it from Isaac to Jacob, and throughout the bloodline. So it had to happen. Okay, so we are going to get to the subject about her barrenness, right? And how that came about. And being a woman that I was barren throughout my relationship with my husband before his passing. And when I started looking into these stories, I really understood. It caused me, I'll praise it to the Most High, and I thank him for opening my eyes because at that time I was really, really depressed about not being able to bear children. And I was like, oh, why me? Because there's no woman in my family that had problems having children. Like every single woman in my family is, they have one kid or more. And I remember being super depressed. So when I read this and I got further into what the barrenness was, and, and coming to realize that I am this way because of my foremothers and my ancestors. So the more I understood that, the more easier it became for me to deal with, to know that I wasn't alone, and to know that this is just something that's passed down from my ancestors, and now it's my turn. You know what I mean? So, and it's a scripture that I'm going to get to in a second that actually states that, but we're going to go to Genesis 25. I'll start at 19 through 22, and this is when Rebekah was first mentioned to be barren, okay? And these are the generations of Isaac, Abraham's son. Abraham begot Isaac, and Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah to wife, the daughter of Bethuel, the Syrian of Padaram, the sister of Laban. Okay, and Isaac, so he was 40 years old when he married Rebekah. It doesn't say how old she was, but she has to be a little in that age bracket, right? And Isaac entreated the Almighty Yahuwah for his wife because she was barren. So he prayed unto the Most High for her because she was barren. And the Almighty Yahuwah was intrigued of him, and Rebekah his wife conceived. Okay, now before we go into the struggle in her womb and things like that, there's a scripture from the Book of Jasher. As I said, the Book of Jasher is one of my favorite books because it has a lot of connections, especially in the from the book of Genesis. There are so many missing pieces, but when you read the Book of Jasher, it all comes together and it makes everything 100% that much better for you to understand. Even though you might have your own understanding, or you might feel that you understand it, what it's saying, but that's what I love about the Book of Jasher. So if you guys haven't read the Book of Jasher, I really, really, really want to recommend you guys to read it, because it made my understanding 10 times better. So going to go to Jasher. It's funny how that's in Genesis 25 and the Book of Jasher. I'm going to start at the Book of Jasher 25:28. Okay, this is another mention of Rebekah being barren. And Rebekah, the daughter of Bethuel, the wife of Abraham's son Isaac, was barren in those days. She had no offspring. And Isaac dwelt with his father in the land of Canaan. So, and the Almighty Yahuwah was with Isaac. And Arphaxad, the son of Shem, the son of Noah, died in those days, in the 48th year of the life of Isaac. And all the days of Arphaxad lived were 438 years, and he died. Okay, so that was another mention of her being barren. But we're going to go to Jasher 26:1-8. And this is what really, really struck home for me, because it really made me realize why I was going through what I was going through with my barrenness in my marriage. This is what it gave me peace to understand and know this, okay? And in the 59th year of the life of Isaac, the son of Abraham. So Isaac was 59 years old, 60 years old, and his wife was still barren. That's pretty similar to Sarai. She was 90 when she gave birth. So in the 59th year of the life of Isaac, the son of Abraham, Rebekah, his wife, was still barren in those days. And Rebekah said unto Isaac, Truly I have heard, my master, that thy mother Sarah was barren in her days until my master Abraham, thy father, prayed for her, and she conceived by him. Now therefore stand up, pray thou also to Yahuwah, and he will hear thy prayer and remember us through his mercies. You know, she's telling him, so you can tell at this time she's frustrated, just like Sarah was before. She's frustrated. She's saying, I know that Sarah was your mother. She was barren until Abraham prayed for her. Now you do the same. You have to pray for me. You have to pray for us so that we can be able to conceive. This is what she's telling Isaac, and this is what Isaac said back to her. And Isaac answered his wife, Rebekah, saying, Abraham has already prayed for me to Yahuwah to multiply his seed. Now therefore this barrenness must proceed to us from thee. So he's telling her, Abraham has already asked. Abraham has already, the Most High he already asked the Most High of these things. And the Most High had already answered, because he promised to have a covenant to Abraham, and he's going to continue that covenant through me and through the seeds after me. So he's telling her this. He said Abraham already prayed. So this barrenness that he said, now therefore this barrenness must proceed to us from thee. So this barrenness must happen. It's something that's passed down to our generation. So Sarah was barren. So now you must be barren as well, because it's passed down from Sarah now to you. You have to endure it. Just like Sarah endured it all the way until she was 90. We're 60, I'm just going to go by that because that's how old it says Isaac is. But he's saying to her, we have to, abide by this as well. Sarah went through it and Abraham, now it's our turn. It must proceed from them to us. So this made me fully understand that my barrenness had to happen because it shows that who I come from. It shows me that the barrenness that I'm living and going through, it didn't just come out of nowhere. It was passed down from Sarah to Rebekah, to Rachel, and a few more, Hannah, and a few more women that were barren in their specific time. It was the Most High's will to have it be passed down to me, to show me that I am also set apart, that I am also of His chosen. And that shed a new light for me and made me so at peace of mind with it. And I feel so blessed to be chosen to be barren, right? And even in the wake of my husband's passing and us not being able to have any children, I still feel extremely blessed because the Most High has chosen me for this. He's showing me that I'm different, So I just wanted to share that with you guys because this is like me reading my story through my ancestors. So that helped me make these connections as well. Me reading the stories of my ancestors, it's like reading my story, through these pages. And all praises to the Most High, yeah. I just feel so blessed. But let's get on with it. I'm sorry. I didn't want to. I just had to share that, guys, with you. Okay, so where was I? He told her that, the barrenness must proceed to us from them. And Rebekah said unto them, But I rise now, thou also, and pray to the Almighty Yahuwah may hear thee, and pray, and grant me children. And Isaac hearkened to the words of his wife, and Isaac his wife rose up and went to the land of Moriah to pray there and seek the Almighty Yah. And when they had reached the place, Isaac stood up and prayed unto the Almighty Yahuwah on account of his wife, because she was barren. So he still wanted to make his wife happy. He listened to his wife and said, you know what, I'll pray for you anyway, even though the Most High had already promised these things. But I see how serious you are about it. I see how adamant you're about it. So I'm going to do it anyway. And they prayed to the Almighty Most High, right? And Isaac said, O Yahuwah, Father of heaven and earth, whose goodness and mercies fill the earth, thou who willest taketh my father from his father's house and from his birthplace, and didst bring him into this land, and didst say unto him, To thy seed I will give the land, and thou didst promise him, and didst declare unto him, I will multiply thy seed as the stars of the heaven and as the sand of the sea. Now may the words be verified which thou hast spake unto my father. For thou art the Almighty Yahuwah, for our eyes are toward thee to give us seed of man. Also didst promise us, for thou art the Almighty Yahuwah, and our eyes are directed toward thee only. And the Most High Yah heard the prayer of Isaac and the son of Abraham, and the Almighty was entreated of him, and Rebekah his wife conceived. So in that scripture, this is the prayer of Isaac that he made unto the Most High. He said, you brought my father, which is Abraham, out of this land. You promised him, just like what he just told his wife, you promised him that you would give, you would keep this covenant from his seed to me, and through me, you would make his seed as countless as the stars, just as we spoke about in the first video of of Sarah, the story of Sarah and Abraham. He said, this is the covenant, this is the promise that you made, Father. He reminded the Most High of his word. And when you do that in all of your prayers, when you remind the Most High of his word, he will definitely, his words are never going to come back to him void. So when you remind him of his word, which is what Isaac did, he will bless you. He will answer you. And then that's when Rebekah was able to conceive. Okay, so the next thing that I want to get into when it comes to this story, after she conceived, right? I want to show you guys something that struck out to me. And that I had to further research it. Okay, so first, before we go to it, it's Genesis 20. Okay, so before I actually get into it, I want to show you. Let's go back to Genesis 25. And we're going to go to verse 22. And for the sake of this conversation, it's going to be 22 through 26. I'm going to stop there. Okay. So, Genesis 25, 22 through 26. And the children struggled within her. This is after he made her to conceive. She said, "If it be so, why am I thus?" And she went to inquire of the Most High. So I want you guys to pay attention to that. Because when I first read it, I thought that the Most High had came directly to her, right? And told her such things. You know, they were struggling in her womb, which you can tell that she was in pain. And she asked the Most High, well, I thought, you know, if this is supposed to happen, can you tell me why is it happening, and help me to understand it. And it says that she went to inquire of the Most High, to ask of the Most High. So when you read that, it gives you the sense that she asks directly the Most High. Okay, but stay with me. I'm going to show you that is not exactly what happened. And the Almighty, we're going to go to 23. And the Almighty Yah said unto her, see, it's saying like he's having a conversation with her. 2 nations are in thy womb, 2 manner of people shall be separate from thy bowels, and one shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger. And when her days be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb, and the first came out red all over like a hairy garment, and his name was called Esau. And after came his brother out, and his hand took hold of Esau's heel, and came, and his name was called Jacob. And Isaac was 80 years old when she bore them. So 80 years old means he was 60 years old when she bore them. Okay. But as I said there, it gave you the impression that she spoke directly to the Most High concerning this thing, right? And I thought so as well. But when I got to the Book of Jasher, it gave me a different scenario as to what exactly happened with the whole thing about her being asked of what's happening with her room. So that's why I said, guys, the Book of Jasher is, man, it's a wonderful book. I really want you guys to read it because it's so much information that's missing from the Bible. It's so much in just the Book of Jasher alone, okay? I would recommend to read all the books that were taken out. The Apocrypha is here. I would recommend that because it's a lot of knowledge in there as well that's been taken out. But the Book of Jasher, Enoch, I would recommend all these books, the Jubilees, all these books. But Jasher specifically when speaking about Genesis, because there's so much that I didn't even realize that I needed to know. So we're going to go back to the Book of Jasher. We're going to go to verse 9 through 12. Okay. And it says, and in about 7 months after the children struggled within her, it had pained her. So she was in great pain. She was 7 months pregnant. It pained her greatly, and she was wearied on account of them. And she said to all the women of who were then in the land, did such thing happen to you as it has to me? And they said unto her, no. So the women that were around her, she asked, when you guys were pregnant, did this ever happen to you? And they were like, no, this never happened to us. So again, she's set apart. She's experienced something that someone else or other women weren't experiencing, because she was chosen, right? She's the chosen daughter of the Most High to experience these things. Verse 10, and she said unto them, why am I alone in this amongst all the women that are upon the earth? And she went to the land of Moriah to seek the Almighty Yahuwah on this account of this, the same place that her husband had went to seek the Most High in prayer so that she could be able to conceive. And she went to Shem and Eber. Shem is Abraham's son, and Eber is his son. And his son, to make inquiries of them in this matter, and that they should seek the Almighty Yahuwah in this thing respecting her. So she and she also asked Abraham to seek the inquiry of the Almighty Yahuwah and all that had befallen unto her. So in this scenario, in the Book of Jasher, it's saying that she asks of Shem, Eber, and even Abraham. She's asking the elders that has direct connection to the Most High. You know, remember I said in my last video that the Most High is going to, in most scenarios, in most cases, he's going to deal with, especially within a marriage, he's going to deal directly with the husbands. You know, that's why the Most High told Eve after she sinned, that she had to be under her husband, because the Most High is going to come down. He's going to hold Adam accountable, because he's the man. He has direct connection. He's going to be more direct with Adam because he's the man, and the man was created first. So it's something about the man that has a more direct connection with the Most High, if that makes sense. So she seeked the elders. She seeked her father-in-law and his father and things like that. No, not his father. His great-grandfather, right? She seeked the elders. For this, she said, hey, I'm experiencing some things. I don't understand it. Could you guys seek the Most High and ask the Most High for me? What is the likeness of this manner? Why is this happening to me? Okay? And they did. And they all inquired of the Almighty Yahuwah, verse 12, concerning this matter. And they brought her word from the Almighty Yahuwah and told her. So they told her. They told her, 2 children are in thy womb, and 2 nations shall rise from them, and one nation shall be stronger than the other, and the greater shall serve the younger. So, but in the King James Version Bible, in Genesis, it said that the Most High told Rebekah. But here in Jasher, it says he didn't tell her specifically. He told her through Abraham, Eber, and Shem. He spoke with them directly concerning this matter. He didn't speak directly to her. He spoke with them. And then they told her, this is what the Most High said. This is why you're going through this. This is why you have to endure through this. This is why this is happening, because there are 2 nations in your womb. So that's a deception there, because the way that it's written in Genesis, it'll have you thinking that, yeah, I'm pretty sure she had a personal relationship with the Most High. She had to, because she was the wife of Isaac, who was a faithful servant to the Most High. And, obviously, he has a covenant with the Most High. So I'm pretty sure she had to have a certain relationship with the Most High as well. But it's still a great deception to say that he answered her directly. He went to her directly. When in a previous chapter it said that the man is going to rule over the wife, and basically telling Adam that I'm going to hold you accountable for this happening because you listened to your wife. So, and it's throughout the entire scripture and Bible that the Most High is saying that he's going to deal more harshly and more directly with the husband than the wife in a marriage. Yeah, he has a relationship with the wife. The wife has a relationship with him, but he's still going to be direct and firm with the husband first, because The man is the remember I said it's the wife here. Then the husband is above her. And then above the husband is Yahuwah. So the Most High is direct. He has a direct, instant connection with the husband, if that makes sense. So I just wanted to point that out. That's one of the things that I had to, when I really, really studied it and looked further deep into it, and it didn't really make sense. But when I read the Book of Jasher, it tied together, and it kind of made more sense. And as I said before, I don't believe that the Most High is going to be a contradiction to his own word. And I really don't. So I believe the Book of Jasher for what it says. It was taken out for a reason. And that will, that will give you that reason. So, that's it on that topic. Okay. So, there's a little bit more I want to get into, a little bit. I'm not going to speak too much about Jacob and Esau because I want to do a separate video, with their lineage, and their story is going to be separate in another video. But, because certain things connect with this story, I feel it necessary to bring it out in this video. So I still will do a separate video on Jacob, Esau, and their wives and what happened with their entire scenario. I just want to mention them a little bit. So, after she bore them and after they were born, right? So we're going to go back to Genesis 25 and 27, okay? And we're going to talk a little bit about the birthright and the trade and things like that, and kind of get a better understanding as to exactly what happened. Because I know when I first read it, I was like, some stuff is not sounding all the way right. So I thank the Most High for causing me to really read more into it. And the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter. So Esau was a hunter. He hunted in the field. A man of the field, as I just said. And Jacob was a plain man dwelling in the tents. So Esau was a hunter. He hunted things. And Jacob was a plain man, meaning he was just, like he stayed inside. He did, simple things, right? And Isaac loved Esau because he did eat of his vengeance, but Rebekah loved Jacob. So, Isaac loved Esau. He loved him because he ate of, I believe, his deer. Like I said, he was a hunter, so he hunted his, probably, it doesn't say it, but he probably hunted his meat, and that's why he loved Esau. But Rebekah loved Jacob. And Jacob sowed pottage, and Esau came from the field, and he was faint. So remember, he was faint, right? And Esau said unto Jacob, feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage, for I am faint. Therefore was his name called Edom. And Jacob said, sell me this day thy birthright. And Esau said, behold, I am at this point to die, and what profit shall this birthright do to me? And Jacob said, swear to me this day. And he swore unto him, and sold his birthright to Jacob. And Jacob gave Esau bread and pottage, and he did eat and drink, and rose up and went his way. Thus Esau despised his birthright. So, as you see here, they made a very quick and simple story of Jacob and Esau. Jacob was making pottage. As I said, he was a plain man who stayed inside, so he was cooking. And Esau came in very faint. And he was like, you know what, I'm hungry. And Jacob was like, sell me your birthright. And he's like, well, I'm about to die. Like, I'm ready to eat now. So what good is this birthright going to do to me if I die? So he swore unto Jacob that he sold him his birthright for for this pottage, and his name became Edom. So it was a very, very brief story on that. But there is a bit more of that backstory as to why that exactly happened that way. So we're going to go back to the book of Jasher, and we're going to go to 26, verse 17. Verse 17. Okay. And the boys grew up to their 15th year. So they were 15 years old. It doesn't say that in Genesis, but it does say that here, that they were 15 years old. It just say that the boys grew. But here it says that they were exactly 15 years old when this happened. So they were teenagers. And they came amongst the society of men. Esau was designing and deceitful man and an expert hunter in the field, and Jacob was a man perfect and wise, dwelling in the tents, feeding flocks, learning the instructions of the Almighty Yahuwah and the commands of his father and mother. So this is why Rebekah loved him, because he was godly. He was righteous. He listened to the instructions of his mother and father, and of the Almighty Yahuwah. He was learning his ways. This is why she loves him. In hindsight, this is why the Most High chose Jacob and not Esau to continue on with his bloodline. And Isaac and the children of his household dwelt with his father Abraham in the land of Canaan, and Yahuwah, as Yahuwah had commanded them. I'm trying to skim through because some of these things are not for this topic, so I don't want to talk about it. Okay, I'll just leave it for you guys to further read the rest of Jasher 26. So it's actually Jasher 27. Sorry. That gets more onto why this exactly happened. And Esau that time after the death of Abraham frequently went in the field to hunt. And Nimrod, the king of Babel, the same as Avrael, also frequently went into his mighty men to hunt in the field and walk with the men in the cool of day. And Nimrod was observing Esau all the days, for a jealousy had formed in the heart of Nimrod against Esau all the days. So, if we all know who Nimrod is, right? He's the king of Babel, right? Nimrod was, he was jealous at Esau, I guess, for their hunting skills. And it says, on a certain day, Esau went in the field to hunt, and he found Nimrod walking in the wilderness with his two men. So these two had beef, Nimrod and Esau, right? He was in this field. This is before he came back to the house, but we're going to get into it. And all his mighty men and his people were with him in the wilderness, and they removed a distance from them, and they went from the different directions to hunt. And Esau concealed himself from Nimrod, and he lurked him in the wilderness. So these two had beef, right? They were both in the field. Esau was a hunter. He hunted, right? And Nimrod and his men, they were hunting as well in the field. Nimrod didn't see Esau, but Esau saw Nimrod, and he's hiding himself from their faces. And it said that Nimrod and his men, they split it up. They went different directions, right? So Esau is going to have a chance to catch him by himself, obviously. And Nimrod and his men that were with him did not know him. And Nimrod and his women frequently walked into the field at the cool of the day, and know where these men were hunting in the field. And Nimrod and his two of his men that were with him came to this place where they were. And Esau started suddenly from his lurking place and drew his sword and hastened and ran to Nimrod and cut off his head. So Esau beheaded and killed Nimrod in the field. Okay? And Esau fought a desperate fight with the two men that were with Nimrod. So the men that was with Nimrod, he was fighting them as well. And they called out to him. Esau turned to them and smote them to death with his sword. So he killed Nimrod and his men that were two of his men that were in the field. You know, they had this beef going on, Nimrod and Esau. And all the mighty men of Nimrod who were left to go from him in the wilderness heard the cry at a distance. The rest of his men, they heard the cry from a distance, and they knew the voices of those men, and they ran to know the cause of it. And when they found their king and the two men were with them lying dead in the wilderness. And when Esau saw the mighty men of Nimrod coming at a distance, he fled and therefore escaped. And Esau took the valuable garments of Nimrod, which Nimrod's father had gave to Nimrod, and which Nimrod prevailed over the land, and ran to conceal them in his house. So not only did he kill Nimrod, Esau killed Nimrod and his men. He took his possessions. Okay, he took his valuable garments. He took things from his dead body, which is in the law of the Most High to not take anything from a dead body as well. But that's later on. It's another subject for another video. But yeah, he took things from his dead carcass and fled because he saw all the more of Nimrod's mighty men coming his way, so he fled, right? And he said, and Esau took those garments and ran into the city of the account of Nimrod's men, and came into his father's house, weary and exalted from fight, and he was ready to die through grief when he approached his brother Jacob and sat before him. So all this took place right before. Remember when it said in Genesis that Esau came in faint? Esau came in faint. He was ready to die. This is why that happened. This is why he came in faint, because he had just fled. He just killed Nimrod and his men. He was fighting, and he had to flee for his life because these men were after him for doing, or he had to flee so they wouldn't find him because he did these things. This is why he came in faint and exhausted and like, man, I'm about to die. He wasn't just hungry, he was exhausted. He was weary. He didn't have any more energy. This is why, because all this took place right before he sold his birthright to Jacob. So it all ties together to make sense, right? He said unto his brother, behold, I shall die this day, and therefore then do I want the birthright? So same thing he said in Genesis. I'm about to die. Like, I'm about to faint and pass out and die. What good is the birthright to me right now? Like, I don't care. Just give me some food and you can have my birthright, because I'm getting ready to die. So he either saying he was getting ready to die faint, or he's getting ready to die because he knew that these men were chasing him and after him because they knew that he killed Nimrod. You got to take this into consideration. This is why that he sold his birthright, because he thought he was literally going to die because these men are now after him, right? And Jacob acted wisely with Esau in this manner. Esau sold his birthright to Jacob, for it was brought about by the Almighty Yahuwah. And Esau's portion in the cave at the field, which Abraham had bought from him, the children of Heth, for the possession of the burial ground, Esau also sold to Jacob. And Jacob brought all of this from his brother Esau for value given. So he not only he sold his birthright to Jacob, he sold his rights to the burial ground, which Abraham had brought from the children of Heth. If you read Genesis, that's the burial ground that he possessed and had to buy so that he could bury Sarah when she passed away. This is the burial ground that Abraham had, right? And Esau obviously had rights to it, and he sold that as well to Jacob. But it doesn't say that in Genesis. And Jacob wrote the whole of this in a book, and he testified the same with witnesses, and he sealed it, and the book remained in the hands of Jacob. So Jacob was smart. When it said that Jacob was wise with Esau, he knew to get this in writing. He said, nope, Okay, you're going to sell this to me. Let me get it in writing. Let me get witnesses. So you can't say that you didn't do this. I want you to know that you did this. I want you to remember that you did this. So I'm going to get it in writing that you sold me your birthright and the burial place. I got witnesses. So you can't say that you didn't do it. He was very smart. Obviously, Jacob knew the importance of these possessions, of the birthright and of the burial site. He knew the importance of this, and that's why they changed Esau's name to Edom because hello, he wasn't thinking too smart here in this trade with his brother. So that's why they called him Edom, because he was not being too smart. He was being dumb, you know. So Jacob knew the importance of having these possessions. Obviously, Esau didn't. And when Nimrod, the son of Cush, died, his men lifted up and brought him in the concentration and buried him in the city. And all the days of Nimrod lived were 215 years old when he died. And the days of Nimrod reigned upon the people of the land 185 years. And Nimrod died by the sword of Esau in shame and contempt, and the seed of Abraham caused his death, as he had seen in a dream. So Nimrod saw this in a dream, that a seed of Abraham was going to kill him. He's going to die by the hands of Abraham's seed. Esau is of Isaac, who is of Abraham. So his dream came true, right? Obviously. And the death of Nimrod, his kingdom had become divided into many divisions, and all these parts that Nimrod reigned over were restored to respectable kings of the land who recovered them after the death of Nimrod. And all the people of his house of Nimrod were for a long time enslaved until all the other kings of the land. Okay. So I just wanted to point that out, that was the reason why the whole birthright, you know, I used to think, I remember I kept asking, I'm like, this doesn't sound right. Why would he just willingly give up his birthright just because you were hungry? Just because you were that hungry, you couldn't wait until he was done cooking. You could, and even then, so you know, it didn't seem right. Like, why was he so willingly to pass off his birthright, to sell his birthright to his brother, and then later he regretted doing it, and it didn't sound right to me. So when I read that in the Book of Jasher, as I do all these stories, it made much more sense to me. So I just thought I'd share that. Another thing that I wanted to actually talk about and point out is in Genesis 27. And the name of the chapter is Isaac's Request. So Genesis chapter 27. I recommend reading the entire chapter, but for the sake of the time of the video, because I'm really trying to keep it brief here with this story. Genesis. So I'm only going to read 1 through 8, okay? And it came to pass that when Isaac was old and his eyes were dim so that he could not see, he called Esau his eldest son and said unto him, My son. And he said unto him, Behold, here I am. And he said, Behold now, I am old, and I know not the day of my death. Now therefore take, and I pray thee, that thy weapons and thy quiver and thy bow, and go out into the field and take me some venison, which is his meat that he wanted, and make me a savory meat such as I love, and bring it to me, that I may eat, and thy soul may bless thee before I die. And Rebekah heard when Isaac spake to Esau his son, and Esau went to the field to hunt for venison, and to bring it. And Rebekah spake unto Jacob her son, saying, Behold, I heard thy father speak unto Esau thy brother, saying, Bring me venison, and make thee savory meat, that I may eat, and bless thee before the Almighty Yahuwah before my death. Now therefore, my son, obey my voice according to that which I command thee. Okay, so basically everyone knows the story of Rebekah. Well, okay, Isaac, he obviously knew that he was getting ready to die because his sight was going bad. and things like that. So he told Esau, which is the son that he loved, okay, I'm going to bless you, but I need you to get me some savory meat, because Esau was the hunter. He told him to go hunt him for some meat, go hunt some meat for him and bring it back to him so that he's able to bless him, right? And Rebekah heard him speaking these things unto heard him speaking these things, right? He heard him speaking these things unto Esau. So she was listening in, and she told Jacob, okay, you know what? I heard your father saying these things to your brother. This is what's getting ready to happen, but you listen to me. You listen to your mother, and this is what I tell you to do. And this is why her name in Hebrew means, Rebekah means to tie together or to secure. And this is exactly what her role was. So in a lot of people's eyes, Rebekah seemingly betrayed her husband because she set up Jacob to, put on the hairy garments, because Esau was hairy and Jacob obviously wasn't. So she put him on fur upon his skin. And in others' eyes, it seems like she deceived her husband to make sure that the wrong son actually got this blessing, right? But as her name is, to secure, to tie together, right? She actually did the opposite. If you go back and read into what the Most High had inquired and told her, hey, there are two nations within your womb. The older will serve the younger. He didn't tell this to Isaac, okay? He told this to Rebekah. The older shall serve the younger. Esau came out first. Jacob came out holding his heel. So the older, which is Esau, should serve the younger. So she did this so that the Most High's will would be done. She didn't do this to betray her husband or her son. She obviously knew that Esau was not as righteous as Jacob. She knew that Jacob followed the laws and followed the instructions of the Almighty Most High. So she knew, and not to mention, the Most High had already told her, the older shall serve the younger. So this was her duty, to make sure that this actually go as planned, because as you see, it says that Isaac loved Esau and he was getting ready to bless Esau. But if you read on in the scripture, the Most High hated Esau. So Isaac loved the wrong son, but Rebekah, she loved Jacob, because she knew that Jacob was to take on the birthright and the blessing, and to carry on this the bloodline, not because of not Esau. Just because Esau he was the oldest, but he was evil in the sight of the Most High, because it didn't say that he followed the laws of the Most High. He was a hunter. He killed Nimrod and his men, and he basically didn't tell his mother or his brother about it. He didn't tell anyone about it, right? He didn't, So you can tell through these actions, that's why he was the hunter, and that's why Isaac was the stay-at-home man who followed the laws and the commandments of the Most High and his parents. He did what they instructed him to do, right? So we're going to go back to Jasher. I'm going to go to Jasher 29. And we're going to get more into depth. I would recommend that you read the entire chapter, but I'm only going to read quite a few so I can tie together what actually happened. Okay, so if you go further in Genesis, it will tell you, she put the hairy garments on Jacob, and she got the meat for him to bring to Isaac, and Isaac blessed Jacob while Esau was still out hunting and trying to get the meat that his father had asked for. So we're going to go to Jasher. And we're going to go start at 8. And Isaac rose up and ate, and he drank, and his heart was comforted, and he blessed Jacob. And Jacob went his way from his father. As soon as Isaac had blessed Jacob, and he had gone away from him, behold, Esau came from his hunt from the field, and he had also made savory meat, and he brought it to his father to eat thereof, and to bless him. And Isaac said unto Esau, And who was he that taken the venison and brought it to me before thou camest, and who did I bless? And Esau knew that his brother Jacob had done this, and the anger of Esau was kindled against his brother, and Jacob had acted thus toward him. And Esau said, He is not rightly called Jacob, for he has supplanted me twice. He has took away my birthright, and now he has taken away my blessing. And Esau wept greatly. And when Isaac had heard the voice of the son Esau weeping, Isaac said unto Esau, What can I do, my son? Thy brother came and subtly and took away thy blessing. And Esau hated his brother Jacob on the account of the blessing that his father had given him, and his anger was greatly arise against him. So he said he hated Jacob because he took his blessing, but he took his blessing, yes. And he said he took my birthright. Well, he didn't take your birthright. You sold it to him because, you decided to sell it to them. You thought it wasn't going to do you any good. So he grew this hatred for Jacob, right? And Jacob was very afraid of his brother Esau, and he arose up and to flee to the house of Eber, the son of Shem, and concealed himself there on account of his brother. And Jacob was 63 years old when he went from the land of Canaan, from Hebron, and Jacob was concealed in Eber's house 14 years on the account of his brother Esau, and he counted to learn the ways of the Almighty Yahuwah and his commandments. So he had to flee, right? He had to flee from his brother's face because his brother hated him so much. And it even says it in the scripture that, I'm going to keep going. Verse 13, Esau dwelled in the land of Seir 6 months without seeing his father and mother. And afterward Esau took him wives and rose up and returned to the land of Canaan. And Esau placed his 2 wives in his father's house in Hebron. So he went out. Esau was so upset. He went out and he married a whole bunch of women that they told him not to marry, or that wasn't of their kinsmen, that they were Canaanite women. And I'm going to talk more about exactly who he married in my next video. But I will mention this. And the wives of Esau vexed and provoked Isaac and Rebekah with their works, for they walked not in the ways of the Almighty Yahuwah, but served their father's gods of wood and stone, and their father had taught them, and they were vexed more than their fathers. So yeah, once you keep going and keep reading, it will tell you that Rebekah, actually it says it in Genesis 27, that Rebekah actually sent away Jacob. Genesis 27, 42 through 46, it said that Rebekah sent away Jacob because she was so afraid, because that's how angry Esau was, and he hated his brother for stealing his birthright. Well, he sold it to his birthright, but he stole his blessing, and he was so very angry with his brother that he wanted to kill him. So Rebekah did what any mother would have to do. She said, you know what? I can't have this happen. I have to send my beloved son, even though I love him dearly. I love him enough to send him away into our kinsman's house, into our other family's house, because I can't have my other son, who hates me and hates my beloved son, I can't have him kill him for more reasons than one. For one, it's against the Most High. And for two, I know the will of the Most High. I know what is supposed to happen for the Most High. And I know that the Most High has made me, whose name Rebekah means tie together, to secure. So I have to secure the safety of my son that I know that the Most High is going to continue his covenant through. So I have to secure this son, secure his safety, that he's saved from my evil son, because he wants to kill him. So her name, this is why I say the Most High knows exactly what he does when he names his people. Her name is exactly what her character was, and her character was her duty as a person. She was to do what she was supposed to do to secure and tie together and make sure that everything that was in the Most High's will and plan actually had the chance to get played out. You know, it is not just her name, it was her duty, it was her character, it's characteristic. So I said that to say all of that. Now the next topic, my final point for this video, because like I said, I do want to try to keep this video pretty brief. I don't know if you guys had noticed it, but I definitely had noticed it. So we're gonna go back, Genesis 26, and in this instance, this is something that I did know prior that happened. If you watched my last video, it was a scenario where I explained when Abraham and Sarah came in contact with a king, and that they did not tell him the entire truth of them being, yeah, they were a sister and brother, but they were also husband and wife. So I don't know if you guys noticed it, but I noticed it immediately when I first read it. It didn't really register all the way with me until I read it a second and third time. So Isaac and Rebekah had a similar experience with the king, by the same name, I might add. So if you guys haven't watched my first video on Sarah and Abraham's story, I would do that. Well, yeah, let's go to Genesis 26, and we're going to start at verse 1 through 11. And there was a famine in the land, same as before in Abraham and Sarah's story, beside the first famine that was in the days of Abraham, like I just said. And Isaac went unto Abimelech, the king of the Philistines, unto Gerar, or Gerar. Sorry for my pronunciation. I'm going to get better at it. So yes, if you look at my first video, there was a king that came in contact with Abraham and Sarah by the name of Abimelech. So this is either his son or that he passed his name on to. I doubt that it's the same king, but probably a descendant that carried on his name. And the Almighty Yahweh appeared unto him and said, Go not down into Egypt, dwell in the land which I tell thee of, sojourn in this land, and I will be with thee, and I will bless thee, for unto thee and unto thy seed, and I will give all these countries, and I will perform the oath which I sworn unto Abraham thy father. Okay, so if you watch my first video, the Most High had Abraham, the way that Abraham and Sarah came in contact with this king is that the Most High told them to flee into Egypt or to go south or whatever. And this is the same thing that is happening in the story of Isaac and Rebekah. And I will make thee thy seed multiply of the stars of the heaven, and I will give them to thee seed of this countries, and thy seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed, because of Abraham obeyed my voice, kept my charge and my commandments, my statutes and my laws. Okay, and Isaac dwelt in Gerar. And the men of the place asked him of his wife, and he said, She is my sister. And he feared to say, She is my wife. Least said he, the man of this place shall kill me for Rebekah, because she was fair to look upon. So this is the same thing that happened with Sarah and Abraham. Abraham was fearful of the men because his wife was fair to look upon, and he was afraid to say, This is my wife. And because he thought that, he thought that the fear of the Most High wasn't in this place. And instead of having complete faith in the Most High to carry out what he just promised, which is the same thing he promised Abraham, your seeds are going to be countless as the stars and as the sand, they're going to be countless, right? Instead of him thinking back to what the Most High just promised you, and the scripture above, it was scripture 4 and 5, and we're in scripture 7 now, that he grew fearful And he didn't want to tell the king, yeah, this is my wife, because he feared that they would kill him to have his wife, right? And it came to pass that when he had been there a long time, that Abimelech, the king of the Philistines, looked out at a window and saw, and behold, Isaac was sporting with Rebekah, his wife. So he's sporting with her, meaning he's being affectionate, as a husband and wife should be with each other, right? He was being affectionate with one another. And Abimelech called Isaac and said, behold, surely she is thy wife, and how thou sayest, she is my sister. And Isaac said unto him, because I said, lest I die for her. And Abimelech said, what is it thou hast done unto us? One of the people might lightly have lined with thy wife, and thou shouldst have brought guiltness upon us. And Abimelech charged all his people, saying, he that toucheth this man or his wife shall surely be put to death. So this is the same thing that the first Abimelech said, why would you do this? One of our men could have laid with her. One of our men could have, lied, like you said, lied with her, or came unto her, or tried to make her their wives, and a guilt was going to be put upon them, and not from them, but from the Most High. The Most High was gonna do just as he did in the first story. He would have made a guilt to come about, or he would have made a famine to come upon the household of these people because someone laid with his wife. So he's asking him, why would you do this? And after he said, I did it because I feared, that you guys would kill me for her. And Abimelech did just as the first Abimelech did in Sarah and Abraham's story. He later said, okay, you know what? I'm going to tell all of my people that no one can touch her, that she's actually someone's wife. No one can lust after her. And, no one to touch her and things like that. And keep your hands to yourself, pretty much. So now we're going to jump down to verse 24. Oh, well, I'm not going to do 24. But yeah, after the meeting with the king, no one touched Rebekah, and as the Most High had promised him, he told Isaac, to stay in the land until the famine of his land was over with. So they stayed amongst the king, and if you go down to verses 14 and 15, there were trades as well. The possessions of flocks and herds and servants and things like that was restored said to be back to Isaac. And the king told him, take your wife, take these things, and, flee, just get out of here. Just just go your way. So that's what happened. They listened. And after that had happened, the Most High came again in verse 24, which I was going to read. But it's just the same thing. The Most High appeared unto him by night, which is in a dream, saying that he promised him again, he told him to fear not. I am with you, and I will bless you and your seed for my servant Abraham's sake. So the Most High continues to tell him to fear not. Why did he tell him this? Because he saw that Isaac, just as his father Abraham was, he feared for this king to try to take his wife and kill him. So the Most High came to him again and said, you know what? I told you this before, but I'm going to reassure you and tell you again to fear not. I am with you. Fear not. I am with you, and I will bless you and for your father Abraham's sake, and I will bless your seed that's come after you. So he told this unto Isaac time and time again. But that is all. That was the last topic. So those are my findings when it comes to the whole Rebekah and Isaac story. There wasn't so much that I found, but there were, like I said, in the Book of Jasher. I would recommend you guys to read it. There was enough to where it was enough to know that there was some missing pieces, and once I read the Book of Jasher, it kind of pieced everything together. So as I said once before, I really encourage you guys to read it so that you can get the full understanding yourselves. Okay. It wasn't as much as it was in Sarah and Abraham's story. But that concludes this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope I didn't lose you guys. I hope I encouraged you guys, and I hope that through me, the Most High was able to open your eyes to show you that there is so much more to these stories than what the eyes can see. You just have to seek this knowledge. You have to seek his face. You have to seek his understanding in order to gain all of this knowledge, okay? So, with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys for being patient with me. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share, all that great stuff, okay? My new viewers, welcome. Be sure to watch all of my other videos. And there's many more videos to come. So I thank you guys so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you read these certain things, or if you didn't know. Just let me know, okay? Don't just watch them. Let me know what's going on, all right? And if you need me to point anything out, if I've missed anything, I'm all ears. I'm still in the learning stages, so I'm never too oblivious to learn from others as well, okay? So, shalom. I love you all.